This is Narantara Das giving a special class on the origin of the Swing Festival. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkutta Vrinda Vipineshe. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkutta Vrinda Vipineshe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Vrishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Leke Lalita Shakti Guna Ramita Vishakhe. Vrishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Leke Lalita Shakti Guna Ramita Vishakhe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Karunang Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite. Karunang Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Charine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Astotra Satta Sri Simad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Koho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Yamuna Devi Ki Jai Ganga Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. And this special class is dedicated to all the devotees of ISKCON Gold Coast Bhakti Center, Surfers Paradise. So we just sang this bhajan, and now we will look at its meaning. So, Radhe, O Radha, Jai Jai, all glories unto you, all glories unto you. Madhava Daite, O beloved of Madhava. Madhava, of course, is another name for Krishna, meaning the husband of the goddess of fortune. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. You are glorified by all the young girls of Gokul. Damodar Rati Vardhana Veshe, O Radha. You dress yourself in such a way just to increase Damodara's love and attachment for you. Hari Nishkutta Vrinda Vipina Ishe. O Radha, you are the queen of Vrinda Devi's forest, and that is the pleasure grove of Lord Hari. Vrishabhanu Udadi Navashashi Leke. O Radhika, you are the new moon goddess, arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu. Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. O Radha, O friend of Lalita, you give intimate pleasure to the Gopi Vishaka because of your wonderful qualities. Karunam Kurumai, so please be merciful to me. Karuna Bharite, because you are filled with compassion. Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite. Your divine characteristics are described by great sages such as Sanaka and Sanatan Kumar. Trinadapi Sunichena Taradiva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Namaiva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata. Time permitting, I will be reciting 3 different narrations concerning this Jhulan-yatra. My first selection is from a very confidential Vaishnava literature known as Sri Govinda Lilamrita, which was composed by the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj. In that book, which can be subtitled A Day in the Life of Radha and Krishna, the whole book is broken out into 8 different sections pertaining to the day's activities, which can be broken into 8 different sections. All 24 hours is presented. So this pastime takes place midday. It's called part of the midday pastimes. And this particular section from chapter 14 is called Miraculous Swing Pastimes. As Lord Krishna enjoyed pastimes with the gopis, gradually he approached the swing, which was made of lotus flowers. Encouraged by the hints of Vrinda Devi and Kundalata, Krishna forcibly took the water sprinkling device, which he had previously, and he took the previously stolen flute from his beloved Radharani's lotus hand, and then ascended to the lotus swing with her. So prior to this, there is the pastime of Radharani stealing Krishna's flute and hiding it for him by passing it on to one gopi to another. So in this pastime, he gets his flute back. Smiling, Kundalata then said, "O beautiful-faced Radharani, give this flute back to Krishna. Do not condescend to touch this flute, for it is simply a matchmaker eager to arrange your meeting with Krishna." Kundalata then turned to Lord Krishna and said, "O Madhava, this water sprinkling device is the property of these young cowherd girls, so you have no right to it. Please return it at once." Then Radha and Krishna proceeded to obey these orders of Kundalata. Lord Hari placed the water sprinkling device in Srimati Radharani's left hand and took the flute she placed in his left hand. On the pretext of this exchange, Radha and Krishna each touched each other's lotus hands. Vrinda Devi and Kundalata placed the swing under Lord Hari. He sat there and forced the reluctant Srimati Radharani to sit beside him. As the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead sat on the swing with his beloved Radharani, the delighted gopis surrounded the swing, pushing and pulling it front and back, and they were also singing loudly. The gopis moved the swing so vigorously that Radharani became afraid. Her body trembled, and her eyes moved about restlessly. She clung to her beloved Lord Krishna, and as a result of the vigorous movements of the swing, Radha and Krishna's hair became disheveled, their flower garlands began to wilt, and their earrings, flower sashes, and various ornaments moved to and fro. And as the swing moved with such violence, Radharani became afraid. By glancing at her restless eyes, the gopis could understand Radha's desire. Understanding that Radhika was feeling a little out of sorts because of the ferocious singing, and in her heart, they wanted her gopi friends to serve her in various ways. The gopis stopped the swing and stood before Radharani. Lalita and Vishaka carried betel nuts. Champalakata and Chitra carried fans. Tungavidya and Induleka carried golden pitchers filled with nectar. And Sudevi and Rangadevi carried fragrant ointments and powders. Filled with love and happiness, these gopis eagerly stood before Radharani as she sat on the swing. Lalita and the other beautiful gopis served the most dear divine couple with this paraphernalia. In following the hints of the divine couple's glances, the gopis gathered around them like the petals of a lotus flower. But at that time, a very wonderful event occurred. Although the gopis surrounded the divine couple, each gopi saw Radha and Krishna as if they were standing before them face to face. When Vrinda, Kundalata, and the other gopis began again to enthusiastically move the swing, then another wonderful event occurred. Embraced by Radharani, Lord Hari appeared before each of the gopis, standing on the lotus petals around him. At the same moment, each gopi saw Krishna standing face to face before her. If the top portion of the sun shone through a mask of dark clouds, shooting lightning flashes through the bottom half, and if that sun were rocked back and forth by great storm winds, then poets would compare this extraordinary sight to dark-complexioned Lord Hari, dressed in yellow dhoti and moving to and fro on his swing. Understanding the hint in Radharani's glance, Lord Krishna, the enemy of Aga-asura, placed his right arm around Gopi Lalita's neck and his other arm around the shoulder of his beloved Radharani. In this way, Krishna appeared like a dark cloud in the midst of two lightning flashes. Then Kundalata spoke. "O friends, look at this effulgent circle moving before us. The full moon of Lord Krishna has now risen between the two stars, Radha and Anuradha or Lalita." Lord Madhava brought Vishaka and the other gopis one by one onto the swing, and one by one he embraced their right shoulder as he enjoyed his swinging pastimes in their company. Srimati Radharani then descended from the swing, and she proceeded to move the swing as two by two, beginning with Lalita and Vishaka. The gopis rode on the swing with Radha's lover, Lord Krishna. Understanding the hint in Radharani's glance, Lalita and the other gopis stepped down from the swing and on various pretexts placed Kanchalata and other gopis one by one on the moving swing. Two by two gopis took turns riding on the swing at the left and right sides of Lord Govinda. Srimati Radharani and the other gopis sang as they happily moved the swing. By this time, all of Radha's friends had taken a turn riding on the swing. Lalita whispered something in Radha's ear. Radha laughed and then ascended the swing. As Radharani, staying on the left side of her lover, and as her gopi friends moved the swing, another wonderful event then occurred. Lord Hari appeared between each two gopis, thus manifesting himself in many places at once. If a tamal tree grew on a flying golden mountain, And if that tree were embraced by a blossoming golden creeper, and surrounded by a forest of tamal trees and golden plantain trees, it might resemble the sight of Lord Krishna enjoying his swinging pastimes at that moment. Following the hints of Vishaka, Lalita, and the other gopis happily moved the swing with great vigor, causing Radharani and the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead to move to and fro. Radharani became agitated by the vigorous swinging and began to clutch her lover Krishna out of fear. Lord Krishna noticed this, and so he smiled and took Radharani with him, descending from the swing and entering among the smiling gopis. Surrounded by lightning flashes of the principal gopis, the black cloud of Lord Krishna showers the nectar of his pastimes upon this earth, and thus extinguishing the thirst of the Chatiki birds of the eyes of Kundalata, Vrindadevi, and the other gopis. All glories to Lord Krishna, who enjoys his swinging pastimes in Vrindavan forest in this way. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And now, here is another pastime of Radha and Krishna concerning the swing pastimes. Jhulan-yatra is very dear to Lord Krishna, and he likes it very much. And now from another perspective, you will see why. From a cultural perspective in India during this period, all daughters go to their father's house and stay there for some days and enjoy a swing festival, a custom which is celebrated even up to this day. Every year, Srimati Radharani used to go to Varshana, to her parents' house, and she would have a very nice time there with her gopi friends and Krishna, whom she could freely meet because Jatila and Katila were not around. One time, Radharani was waiting for her brother Sridham to come and take her to her father's house. She was waiting, but there was no sign of Sridham, and she became so sad. One day, a person from Varshana was there. Radharani asked the man to ask her father, "Why have they forgotten me?" And then she started to cry bitterly. That person then went to Varshana and told Vrishabhanu Maharaj about the condition of his daughter. Hearing this news, Vrishabhanu immediately sent Sridham to get Radharani. Radharani's mother, Kirtida, then packed many presents for Jotila to send with Sridham, knowing that if she did not do this, Jatila, being harsh of character, sometimes might not send Radharani to Varshana. Meanwhile, day and night, Radharani was staring at the road coming from Varshana. One day, she saw Sridham, and when he finally arrived at the front gate, they embraced each other. Radharani was weeping. "Oh, brother, you have forgotten me, and my father and mother also. Everyone has forgotten me." At first, Jatila refused to let Radharani go. "No, she cannot go. She has too much work to do here. And there is so much danger there because of that black boy, Krishna. So Radharani cannot go. Then Sri Ram gave Jatila all the presents given by Kirtida. Then, seeing this, Jatila agreed. All right, she can go, but only for a few days. Then Radharani and Sri Ram went on a cart pulled by 4 bullocks to Barshana. Seeing the palace of her parents on the hilltop and feeling great happiness, Radharani started to weep even more when she saw her father and mother face to face. At that time, the Jhulan-yatra had already started, and Radharani started swinging with her Sakhi friends during periods in the day and night. But she was not satisfied alone without Krishna being there. And knowing this, Krishna sometimes came in disguise to the palace. Sometimes he would dress as a gopi, selling bangles or beautiful garlands. Or Krishna would appear in any other form and would make an appointment for them to meet each other somewhere in a very secret place in the forest. Once, Radharani was seated on the Jhulan, and Krishna was pushing the swing very gently. But suddenly, Krishna put so much force in pushing the swing that Radharani became fearful and began to cry out, "Oh Krishna, save me, save me." And so the transcendental trickster, Sri Krishna, climbed up on the swing as she firmly embraced him, giving Krishna so much pleasure. But why so much pleasure? Because normally Krishna has to do so many tricks that Radharani will embrace him. But in this instance, Radharani embraced him out of her own sweet will, without much effort on Krishna's part. Therefore, Krishna is so fond of these swing pastimes. For my next reading, this is taken from the Ananda Vrindavan Champu of Kavi Karnapur, chapter 22, entitled The Swing Festival Pastimes. The stealing of Krishna's flute occurred in the middle of springtime during the Holi festival. On another day, Krishna performed the swing festival, Jhulan-yatra, which is the perfect object of meditation for those desiring a taste of pure devotion. On that day, the sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna far surpassed the sporting of the demigods and their wives in the celestial gardens. So this chapter describes Krishna's ecstatic swing festival, which is incomprehensible to the 3 worlds. The swing festival was held in a special place in Vrindavan, which was bordered by a line of desire trees of equal height, with round trunks and branches whose ends intertwined, leaving a bare space in the middle. The line of trees appeared like a wall of sapphire jewels. Besides the birds inhabiting those trees, the presiding deities of the forest had placed various items in the trees, including chamaras, silk cloth, long strands of pearls, jewels, fruits, and flowers. A square-shaped golden stage stood in the center of the decorated trees. In the middle of the stage was a jeweled kunja with 4 doors. 4 Harichandana trees stood as pillars in the corners of the kunja. The intertwining of the tree's upper branches formed an overhead canopy. The swing hung on thin golden ropes tied to the branches of the Harichandana trees. This arena appeared in the center. Each gopi group leader had a personal kunja with a swing in 4 directions radiating from this central arena. The other arenas, lined with pleasant devataru trees, radiated green all around and resonated with the singing of young cooing birds. They served as embodiments of festivity for the entire earth. 1 swing hung from each pair of trees, and sitting platforms for the gopis encircled the bases of these trees. Golden chains tied securely to the branches of the trees hung down in straight lines, and in the center arena, 4 lines of swings belonging to different group leaders faced the doors of the main kunja. Herds of deer frolicked about joyfully in the flat, open land surrounding the kunjas. The hearts of everyone immediately flooded with joy just by seeing these areas, which were illuminated by Chintamani gems and by trees as brilliant as coral. The top branches of the trees joined to form natural, pleasing green canopies. Gazing upward forever, one could not find the tops of those tall trees. The moonlight, filtering through the canopies of the trees, made small filaments of light on the forest floor that looked like piles of sesame and rice. Thinking it to be food, the female deer tried to lick it. The 4 kunja mandaps, or raised platforms, were so similar that even the demigods could distinguish them only by their placement in different directions. In those areas, the Vanadevis had stretched a canopy in preparation for the swing festival. The scattered moonlight appeared like pearl belts taken from deities of the 10 directions, broken by the steady wind, and broadcast on the earth out of respect for the land of Vrindavan. And it so appeared as if all the stars in the sky, out of great bliss, left their positions in order to come and offer respects to the land of Vrindavan. Pieces of rustling silk cloth from the goddesses of the sky formed the rooftops of the kunjas and hung down quivering like tongues trying to lick the dust of Vrindavan. The nets of pearls hanging from that cloth were swinging gently in the soft breeze and pleasantly resounding like tinkling ankle bells. The forest gods had decorated the canopies with strings of various kinds of fruit and with fine scented chamaras resembling white lotuses born from the sky, or swans flying up from the lake of moonlight. The swing area carried the celestial saint of aromatic aguru fumes, drops of perfume squeezed from the kalpadruma trees, and piles of camphor dust which made lines of white smoke in the sky. Impatient and anxious to begin the swing festival, the Devatas and their wives, the Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and Kinnaras, all played their instruments as they arrived in Vrindavan in their innumerable celestial airplanes. In a jubilant mood, the gentle goddesses from different forests, carrying various festival ingredients in their hands, then assembled in Vrindavan. With friendship, kindness, and all good qualities, they finished decorating the swing arena and then built an impressive entrance with the best of garlands. From all directions, flocks of joyful birds came fluttering to broadcast the sweetness of this swing festival. They peacefully perched on the twigs and branches of the tree around the arena. Eager to see the wonderful swing festival, the birds sang the glories of Krishna, while their own hearts swung in delight. Forgetting all troubles and being impelled by curiosity, varieties of deer gathered in the kunjas. They stood motionless as if figures in a painting, appearing as if they had not been attracted to the forest by the sound of Krishna's flute, and had not abandoned their household duties, and had not opposed their elders. The doe-eyed gopis, like touchstones for pleasurable pastimes, suddenly manifested out of nowhere, as if coming directly from the desired trees. Colored with kumkum, their loins glistened, ready for dancing. They wore fluffy petticoats, covered by fine silk dress extending to their ankles. Glittering bodices beautified their breasts. Their effulgent bodies were adorned with festive colored sashes and tinkling waist belts. The soft, rounded shoulders of the gopis rivaled the flower bow of Cupid. The gopis had tucked flower arrows in their girdles and held flower bombs in their hands. In the arena of the artful, amusing swing pastimes, the blissful gopis appeared like the incarnation of Rati, the goddess overseeing festive love battles. Some gopis had flower pollen sachets hidden in their golden waist belts. Those bags of pollen seemed like the accumulated wealth of their skill in lovemaking, collected over a long period of time in order to purchase the jewel of Krishna's mind. Some gopis held thousands of flasks filled with fragrant aguru, musk, camphor, and sandalwood ointments. These thin, delicate flasks would break open just with a breath. Others carried ingeniously designed syringes filled with the essence of flowers, kumkum water, sandal water, and musk water. The gopis all looked like well-armed soldiers, ready for the battle of love. Anxiously awaiting the arrival of Radhika Syam to start the festival, each of the gopis, who are the jewels among women, who are more beautiful than the soldiers of Cupid, thought that she would swing first. The gopis entered the 4 areas around the main area while discussing this among themselves. Out of excitement, they made a din with their loud laughing that resembled the sweet cooing of the cuckoos. Then, Krishna entered the swing arena with his left arm resting upon Radharani's shoulder, holding his flute. In his right hand, Krishna twirled a lotus flower while his bangles chimed happily. A pleasing peacock feather topped his reddish turban that tilted attractively to one side. Krishna's elegant earrings and ear lotuses swung in the breeze created by the bees circling his head. Fine cloth kissed Krishna's limbs, lit by the jewels of his crown and bracelets. Krishna shone attractively with his pearl necklaces tinged red from the rays of his Kaustubal jewel. Light, delicate footsteps accented his graceful yet playful gait. Jeweled anklets and bells adorned Krishna's lotus feet. With his splendid lips shining, Krishna appeared somewhat drowsy from chewing betel nut. Yet his effulgence easily defeated the combined radiance of all the jewels adorning the ladies in heaven. Krishna's effulgence took the shape of a jeweled mace in order to announce his entrance into the bower of the jeweled trees. As Krishna and his servants ascended the dais surrounding the swing, the birds screeched out, "Victory! Victory!" The trees and creepers felt such rapture that their limbs erupted with tiny goosebumps, and honey streamed down like a torrent of tears. When the peacocks stared at Radha and Krishna, they thought they were seeing dark rain clouds flashing with lightning. Though knowing Radha and Krishna from before, due to their unprecedented love, the peacocks madly cried out, "Kale! Kale! Who are these two persons?" Different celestial denizens then joined Krishna and the gopis to celebrate their Jhulan-lila. And in attendance, there were charming charanas, male and female kimpurushas, and the wives of the siddhas beating expertly on mandala and panava drums with their delicate hands. The spotless heavenly damsels from Swarga and the apsaras, directed by Urvashi, held chamaras as radiant as waves in the Mandakini Ganges river. They showered fragrant flowers from the Nandakanana gardens, which glittered like stars as they fell through the sky. And in this atmosphere, Krishna mounted the attractive, comfortable seat of the swing. Krishna looked like a regal crest jewel sitting on a cotton seat. The cloth covering the seat was whiter than the foam that appeared during the churning of the milk ocean. Shining pillows also adorned the beautiful seat. Seeing this amazingly wonderful swing purified the vision and empowered the eyes to see other objects in yet a fresher way. While the demigods played sweet music, Mukunda and Radhika marveled at the intricate workmanship of the jeweled lamps illuminating the swing. Trembling out of ecstatic love, Radhika and her friends sat beside Krishna, who rested his left arm on Radharani's shoulder. When the Lord ascended the exquisite swing and displayed his sweet beauty, which defeated the fickle currents of a river of nectarian beauty, the demigods and their wives thus lost all composure. As the ardent desire of the demigod's heart to get a closer view of the divine couple moved out of their hearts in order to express itself. It choked their throats. And with that hope, they left the middle sky and descended to a more favorable lower borders of the sky. When lotus-eyed Chandravali and other gopi group leaders beheld the especially intimate feature of Krishna sitting upon the swing, their eyes sparkled with blissful love. The gopis, adorned with colorful makeup and tinkling bells, mounted their respective swings and loudly sang sweet songs in an appropriate tempo. Chandravali and her group sat facing Murari. Bhadra and her associates sat on Krishna's right, Syam and her followers on the left, and Danya and her assistants sat behind Murari. Crowding the 4 outer yards, other joyful gopis sang melodious songs with the finest artistic skill. Their effulgent complexions conquered a garden of golden creepers. As they softly vibrated their 7-stringed veenas, the gopis produced pleasing ambrosial music of unequaled excellence. Holding on with one hand and swinging their bodies, the gopis moved gaily on the swings as swarms of bees followed them. With their free hands, the gopis took fistfuls of powder from the bags tucked in their belts and forcefully threw it into the air while their bangles jingled along. Scattered here and there by the wind, the colored powder spread a red hue throughout the sky like a screen of fresh java flowers. The demigods, anguished by this obstruction, trying to see Krishna's pastimes, repeatedly showered flowers in order to remove the recurring screen of dust, for it appeared that the clouds dripped flower nectar. As the manjaris gracefully pushed the swings, Vrinda Devi and others shouted, "Jai Ho! Jai Ho!" While blissfully absorbed in swinging, Radha and Krishna hurled colored powders on the gopis. When Chandravali and other Sakhis returned, the Vali with their powders, Radha and Krishna revealed a unique state of fresh beauty. As the powders thrown at Krishna blew away in the wind, the gopis filled their reddened hands with sandalwood powder and other fragrances to balm Krishna again. Radha's friends, who were experts in shooting pitchkaris full of sweet-smelling colored water, assembled around the swing of Radha and Krishna. Suddenly, Chandravali and her Sakhis attacked Radha and Krishna with pitchkaris full of color. With their jeweled pitchkaris loaded with scents and glittering like the moon, Radhika's Sakhis counterattacked Chandravali and her group with a fountain spray of color. Aiming mainly at Chandravali, that spray of liquid scent did not even once touch the bodies of Radha and Krishna. Gathering their forces, Radha's Sakhis, who were eager to win the battle, shouted out, "I am winning! I am winning!" In the pandemonium, a few more gopis picked up pitchkaris and wildly squirted other gopis. In the excitement to win, some bottles of liquid fell and broke, releasing thick streams of aguru and sandalwood, scented liquid over the ground. When the flower bombs, being forcefully thrown from all directions, came too close to the son of the king of Vrindavan, the gopis deflected them. If, however, any bomb happened to hit the dark blue body of Krishna, Radhika happily wiped it off with her soft hand moistened from perspiration. Feeling disturbed, Krishna lost his composure upon seeing the condition of the gopis. He was afflicted with pride and apprehension. To increase the pleasure of the doe-eyed gopis, who gazed at him with shy, downcast eyes, like chakoras agitated by the moon, Krishna abandoned all rules of formal conduct and followed the whims of Cupid. Witty, humorous, and controlled by his consorts, the younger brother of Balaram, rolling his eyes in desire, challenged the groups of gopis facing him on all sides, eager to play holy with him. Skillful at sport, Lord Hari smashed the gopis in the southern direction with a huge deluge of colors. While moving on their swings and firing red powder at Krishna, the beautiful gopis appeared as victory flags of cleverness. Then Krishna subdued the playful, blissful girls on the northern side. Next, Krishna defeated the gopis and their associates in the western direction, who kept swinging the whole time while strongly desiring pastimes of enjoyment. Their eyes and bodies defeated the beauties of lake full of lotus flower. Then Krishna conquered the elegant, excited women on the eastern side, who were particularly attractive, being seated on swings directly opposite him. While swinging and throwing ruby red powder with his lotus hands, Krishna shared a seat with Radharani, who possesses the limit of all excellent qualities. After winning the battle of Holi, smiling brilliantly, Krishna desired to please all the different groups of swinging gopis. Starting in the eastern direction, Krishna faced each group and dexterously moved his swing in two different directions. When Krishna swung east or west, he moved the swing directly towards the gopis in those directions. And when he swung to the north or south, those gopis sat next to him. In the joy of such counter-swinging, Krishna's necklaces, forest garland, and shining earrings all joined in the festival. Thus, Krishna enacts two types of eternal pastimes, manifest and unmanifest. With this description of Radha and Krishna's swing festival, I, Kavi Karnapur, the crest jewel of Rasikas, conclude the book entitled Ananda Vrindavan Champu, which parallels the Vrindavan pastimes of the Lord described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Stotra Satyasri Siman. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Yamuna Devi ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the devotees of ISKCON Gold Coast Bhakti Center, Surfers Paradise.